Good morning to everybody, absolutely everybody. First of all, to Ranj Postacoglu, who is in the chat with one of his 95 aliases. Barry, Nick, Ranj, how are you, sir? You well?
I'm good, mate. I know we're going to get into it, but how out of touch is this football club?
Listen, we've literally had 12 seconds. We'll get into it. We will get into it. At least give it 60 seconds.
Okay.
Let's say something nice about our lives, and then we can move on to the shower of shite that is Tottenham Hotspur.
I mean,
are you well?
Nice about our lives. I'm on a day off, so I can chill out today. So that's good.
Living the dream. Absolutely living the dream. Good Calamera to you as well, which means good morning, by the way, for anyone who doesn't understand Greek. Not that I speak fluently, by the way. I couldn't sit here and have a whole full-on conversation. I could swear a lot and insult you in Greek, funny enough, but I couldn't do the rest. Good morning to everyone in the chat. Let's go through the admin, the fire safety drill. Smash the like button on your way in. Smash it on your way out. Subscribe if you haven't. We've just hit 7,115. Let's aim for 7,150 by the time the show ends. Ambitious, but why not? I've got to be because my football club isn't. First of all, big up to all the Gooners that are in the chat. The Gooners, they hate me after yesterday. I dared to say that they weren't as good as Man City, and they've been coming for me. Apparently, they won the treble. I'm wrong. It's, blah, 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 blah. Samantha has summed it up nicely. Thought you prided yourself on not belittling clubs that you had no right to. Was a very anti-Arsenal day for you, laughing at us. No one's laughing at you. You're a good team. You're a very good team. You're just not Man City. It's okay. Ben is in the chat. He's exhausted and tired after last night. What were you doing? Hey, what were you doing, Benny boy? What were you doing? Good morning to everyone. Let's get into it. Morning to Paul, channel members Paul. Morning to Danny. Morning to Proud to be a Geordie, who's got the weirdest picture in the world, but we love that account anyway. Good morning to Craig. Good morning to everyone. Good morning to everyone. Philly 2109, one of the Phil crew, is in the chat. God 10 is in the chat with a lovely moustache. We are going to swear. Listen, Barry, I'll alternate between what I call you. I don't care.
Yeah, it's fine.
Right. I tell you what, this club never, ever ceases to amaze me. This club, in the week leading up to going on pre-season tour, where fans are craving centre-backs, where fans are craving a defensive midfield, fans are craving proper players to make us ambitious. And in the last, I would say 24 hours, I think it's less than that, the two things that have been announced from Spurs official are naming rights for an F1 track.
Okay.
And a documentary that we have to pay to watch on Spurs play, right? That we have to pay to watch for Spurs play about a player that most of the fan base don't even want at the club, in Eric Dier. What on earth is, how out of touch with us are they?
Yeah, I mean, massively out of touch. I mean, I didn't see the naming rights because there was so much stuff about the Dier thing. Look, I think we knew he was. I think deep down in our hearts, we know he's probably staying.
Sure.
But to then ramp up after last week's announcement with the ticket prices, there's just
Right.
let's all have let's rather than having we had the good news of Solomon yesterday, and then let's just put a bit of sprinkle of bad news and out of touchness with this football club and put a Eric Dier documentary out after Sessegnon's injury, and he's got again, and he's had to have surgery. So it's like normally when you're having I won't swear, a poo sandwich, it's the good things in the middle, but it seems like the good thing was on the end, and then it's just followed it by three bad things. So.
And the thing is, they're so clever that what they'll do is when they do announce a centre half in the next 3 or 4 days, I'm hoping here, this is wishful thinking, people will go, see, it's all good. But first of all, I mean, let's talk Eric Dier. Let's talk Eric Dier.
Yeah.
Right. Listen, I don't want to knock the guy. I've got nothing against him personally. I want to say that before people go, oh, you're so horrible about people. I've got nothing against Eric Dier, the human being, Eric Dier, the man. I'm sure if I went for a pint with Eric Dier, I'd have a great time. Hopefully, because he'd be paying because he's really rich. But Eric Dier has been at this club for, it must be 9-10 seasons coming up, Barry. I'm sure you're someone will tell me what year he signed. I want to say 14-15, which means that he's coming up to 9-10 years. He's not progressed. If anything, he's regressed from the days of when he was an England regular, first team regular for Spurs. We bring out a documentary about him, but half the fan base is screaming that he is one of the major issues as to why we are so bad at football and so bad at defending. I mean, who at what point started to make this documentary and who thought, yes, this will be a good decision to get the fans on board and unite the fans and give them a feeling of belonging to the club?
It's not. So someone's obviously there on work experience and gone, do you know what we should do? We should release this because the fans would love it. Look, I think it's like with everything. When we release something, we always do it badly.
Yeah.
And we never get it right after what we did at the start. If you think about the start, Kulusevski, Maddison, Winks going the other way, that was starting to build up everyone's excitement. Angie's press conference, all the words, everything else. Then all of a sudden, let's just put something in there to just, rein everyone back in a little bit. And it's almost like it's being done on purpose to create the division, to create, people Levy in, Levy out. What do you know what I mean? It's almost like it's create that division.
It's almost like they don't want inner peace of the club. It's almost like they go, right, there's some great news there about signings. Postecoglou's given a really positive press conference, which has got a lot of doubters on board as well. Right, okay. What can be controversial? I know. Let's talk about an F1 track, putting the ticket prices up. I feel like whoever is the head of marketing at this football club, I'll call them out. I don't care. I'm never going to get a gig at the club. I don't care. Right? Even if I was going to get a gig at the club, I wouldn't care. Whoever is head of marketing and PR at Tottenham really, really needs to bring in a consultant and talk to them about connecting with the fans, connecting with the locals and the fan base. But on the other side of that, Ben, I'll bring you in here. The other side of that, I don't have Facebook, right? I have a Threads account, which is weird at the moment. Yeah. I don't have Facebook. I'm sent all these links every day. Oh my God, have you seen this? Have you seen this? I open up this Facebook thread about Eric Dier and the documentary, and the thousands of replies, right? And every other reply is, thanks, Eric. We love Eric. Eric loves me. Eric's been a great service. Fair play. You deserve it. And you sit there and you go, what is this fan base sending? What are we? What are we doing?
I've got no idea, but it's what you said to me the other day. Tottenham fans, that they're allergic to trophies. And if you've got players like Eric Dier in your squad, you are never gonna do anything ever because the guy is he's awful. He's one of the three main frauds at the football club at the moment. He makes people think that he actually does something, but he is awful.
Pointing a lot.
Pointing a lot. Him and Højbjerg, they both cut from the same cloth. Point and shout and blame everyone else when it's them at fault. They are so bad. I don't understand how at any other football club, Eric Dier would not last 2 seasons. But because it's Tottenham and we're so cushy with everyone and we have to have, padded rooms because we're so nice to everyone. It's ridiculous.
You know what's going to come out next, don't you? Tottenham Hotspur are close to stadium naming rights. That'll be the next one because we haven't had that.
I would actually be fine with that because it might actually show. Oh, finally we got it done. That's in the right direction.
Right. So Eric Dier, this is going to be his 10th season at Tottenham Hotspur. 10. Yeah. 10. I'm not stuttering, by the way. 10, as in one more than 9. Double figures. And he has played 408 games for the football club.
Yeah.
408 games for the football club. I'm absolutely baffled, astonished, and at the same time, I'm not baffled and astonished. It's what we do. But listen, I've got no problem if the club want to make documentaries. Like they made there was a really good documentary about Sonny, right? A player that's delivered for this club, a player
Amazing documentary,
right? A really good documentary about how he came through in South Korea, the relationship with his dad, what was expecting of him at Spurs, how he's an icon. And I think most of the fans go, yeah, that's Sonny. You know, Sonny's been one of our best 2 or 3 players for the last 7-8 years. Then you look at Eric Dier, who the club must know. They must read what we write. They must see it in some capacity that no one wants Eric Dier in a starting 11. People are upset. Even I yesterday tried to not defend him, but defended, right, you might as well let him run down his contract because there's so much deadwood to get rid of. You might as well let him stay here for 1 more year as long as he's not first choice. People couldn't stand the thought of that.
I'd rather 1 year of Eric Dier than 3 years of Clement Longley.
I've got a feeling you're about to see both.
Yeah. Do you know what? Do you know what? And this just goes. I'm gonna call this now. Right? We're gonna by the end of the window. We would have done Van der Ven. We'd have done Tapsoba, and everyone's sitting there saying, "Okay, Basuma's going to play in the 6." No. Enter Eric Dier. He's going to play in the 6. You know what I mean?
I mean, do you know what? Eric Dier going into the 6 will give everybody heart palpitations, or it will be an absolute masterstroke from Postecoglou. I think I know which one.
Romero in the number 6. I think Romero would make a very good number 6 because then
don't talk to me about Romero. He gets me in trouble, Ben.
He wouldn't have to do what he usually does, which is play like a 5-year-old and charge for the ball. Because he'd already be in the middle of the pitch. He would just be there. So then we could have 2 quality defenders behind him. And then he could be in the middle of the pitch. It'd be brilliant. I think it would work. I think he might actually be a really good number 6. He's good on the ball. He's not great in the air, but he's good on with his feet. He might be very good there.
Yeah, listen, I'm hoping it's the sort of thing that Pep Guardiola does, isn't it?
Yeah.
Pep Guardiola takes these players and then looks at them and goes, hang on, you could be better there. Is Ange that person? I'm not sure. We'll see. Paul Jones, this is on the docket. The docket? What are we in court? God, I know I grew up in Lewisham, but I'm not that used to courthouses. Paul, we will talk about the possible rumours, the takeovers in a bit. But listen, I somebody's mentioned that there's not this person, by the way, that there's something in about mental health in the documentary, and that's cool, and I get that. And listen, I'm all for mental health. I'm a big advocate. I put money in each month to a mental health charity, but I'm going to keep this. I want to keep this football. I don't want to distract from the methods of what the club do because somebody's mentioned an important subject of mental health. My worry is this, guys, is in 24 hours, right? In 24 hours, we've heard both those bits of news, right? Both. In the same time, fans are desperate to hear from Harry Kane. In the same time, people are desperate to hear that we've signed centre-backs. Right? And it always feels that good news we want to hear is down here. The bad news that no one wants to hear is the priority for whoever decides to put this out. Can we put this all on Levy, guys? Or are there people advising him very badly at this football club?
Well, when you go to the marketing section, it's Donna Cullen. She is the marketing guru of the club. It's all the board because clearly the board don't understand the fan base. You'd think you'd know when you build a company, well, not build a company. Well, they almost have built the company because the company was in utter tatters after Sugar left it. Well, after he saved it from Ivan Scholar. You think you'd have some sort of relations with your fan base. They're sort of trying to do it with their new fan advisory board that for some reason none of the people in the Tottenham Hotspur YouTube community are in, which is ridiculous despite the fact we all have the biggest reach. Not that I'm saying we should be involved because a lot of us know nothing, but there are no olive branches to the fan base. They think they know what they're doing.
Yeah.
And because the numbers say they're doing a good job because they're making loads of money, they think, oh, we're doing a great job here.
And also, Ben, you're right. And also, what they could have done is a bit of look. I forget who it is, right? if they'd just gone, here's the thing, here's a video that we've done, a little documentary,
right,
based on what's happened the last week with the season ticket prices. We'll give you free access on Spurs Play for 48 hours, or do you know what I mean?
right,
Something like that.
Yeah.
Just something, right? And it is just absolutely crazy. There's no in touch with the fans. They know. They have people watching Twitter. They have people watching YouTube. They have people feeding back to the club. And they're just probably sat there going, oh, that's, I guess, the arrogance of it all, is they're all sat there going, oh, well, it doesn't matter. It's only a few people on there. And also, I'm going to come at them for the name of their podcast, Off the Shelf, ripping off shelf side. Dawson and Ledley having a little bit of a rip-off. So, but
I think this is
into that now. So
I think this is half the problem as well. Is listen, I love both Ledley King and Michael Dawson, right? Of course I do. Ledley King was just a sublime centre back, just sublime, and Dawson is everything we need right now at centre half. Not flashy, gives you 100% every game, brilliant in the air, and a leader of men. If Dawson was at Spurs now, he'd be the first name on the team sheet and captain, right? Yeah. For me. I even watch those two talking back and forth. And the problem is I watch it and all the while I think, you're both paid by the club. Yeah. I know that sounds awful, but I'm not watching thinking these are two people that want I know they do, but when they're talking, it doesn't sound like they want the very best for the club. It sounds like they've been told by media coaching, you cannot say this about the club. You cannot say that. Everything's great. Daniel Levy's it. We don't get truth. And to your point, Ryan, I don't even know what to call you anymore. To your point, Barry, right? To your point on this, why not sugarcoat it? Do you know what? We've done this documentary, but what we're going to do is before we go for our season tour, Wednesday morning, we're going to have an open training session at the Spurs Stadium for 20,000 people. Come down. With that, you get a free link for 48 hours for 1 week to Spurs Play, so you can watch our first couple of friendlies. Come down, see the players, bit of autograph signing, something that makes. Forget me. I don't need autographs. Like, I'm a grown man. I don't need an autograph, right? Unless it was Lionel Messi, I'm at the front of the queue, right? But for the kids,
or David Ginola. If it's David Ginola, you're at the front of the queue.
I've met Ginola. I haven't washed my hands since. But for the kids, for the parents with kids, have that open training session. Come and meet. I'm not saying you can meet all the players, but something that gets you on board. But it's not. Here's a documentary. By the way, to watch this documentary, you've got to pay to watch Spurs play. Right? Watch our pre-season friendlies. But only if you want yet another subscription in your life, although you pay for BT, although you pay for Sky, although you pay for this, that, the other, although mortgage prices are going up, we'll put our ticket prices up. Now we're going to charge you to watch on Spurs Play. Yeah. They are so out of touch. Yeah. I'm furious with the club. Furious, I tell you.
Savva, you're right.
I mean,
and also,
I love Dawson King as well, but they're not Rez and Barry, are they?
But also, Savva, you're right. This is the difference, right? And you see it about the whole engagement and everything else. The fans, most of the new stadiums and the way that they're built and everything else, they have the underground car parks, and the players go in the underground car parks. They don't see the fans and everything else. When we went to Leeds, we were able, and the players walked. They had the old style barriers, the old grey barriers up. All of the kids were there, all of the parents were there, and they were allowed to, and they were high-fiving, they were stopping for autographs. That's where we've lost that connection, you know? People don't just want to see a coach, right? When I went to Anfield, all you saw was the coach drive past and in underneath the stadium. Who cares? It's a freaking coach. You don't see anything. You don't see anyone getting off. At Leeds, you see the players getting off. They're walking down. Fans get to see them. Fans get to get up close. It's that personal touch that we're missing. You know,
there's some breaking news. Barcelona have officially announced that they're playing Tottenham in a pre-season friendly.
Yeah, they said. Yeah, that's been knocking about, isn't it? Some trophy. But for brilliant.
But back to the point, for anyone that knows old Tottenham geography, the training ground used to be in Chigwell, opposite the dump, which is hilarious. But there's a parade of shops in Chigwell called Brook Parade, and firstly, you used to be able to line up outside the training ground in Chigwell and get autographs. They would all stop. Now you can't even get autographs because all the players are told, don't stop there. They're told to drive off immediately. So that's one thing. And you used to be out. One of my favourite moments was I went down after school and Harry Redknapp was sitting outside Kiss Trucks, the old sandwich shop, bacon sandwich in one hand, mug of tea in the other hand, and you can have a proper chat with him. We've lost that. You don't see Spurs players anymore. You don't see Tottenham players out and about anymore. You never see them. Like the last time I saw a Tottenham player was Vlad Kirikesh. I said hello to him and he totally ignored him. Tosser.
Yeah, I think that, listen, I get that the game has changed. I get that, I get that we shouldn't be as easily accessible to people because the world has gone mad and everyone's got an internet, internet and an account where they control. I get that, but something. Why not? Do you know what? We've put the ticket prices up, but this season for pre-season games, you can watch them all for free on our website. Do you know what I mean? On the official Tottenham website. We don't ever do anything nice for the fans. We don't give them top players to watch. We charge them to watch friendlies. We've got the most. I saw. Was it one of the top 2 most expensive replica shirts in world football? And people back this and go, oh, well, you want better players but don't want to spend more money. Well, hang on. Don't we already spend that money?
Yeah.
Like, sorry, I didn't realise we were paying Pete. Like, I didn't realise match day tickets were £25 a head. I feel like it's just gone all... I don't know. Like, I'm sitting here thinking to myself, guys, what will Spurs announce in the next week that will make the fans go, I can't believe they're doing this again? What will we announce? It'll be something.
Coca-Cola freestyle machine. I don't know.
One thing they had at Leeds is they had They had those machines that you pour your own pint. You tap it in, put the cup in, and it gives it yourself. I'm surprised. If Levy had seen that at Leeds, he'd gone, Christ, I can get rid of all those kids that don't know what they're doing. I can just have a machine there and pump out more beer at the stadium.
Yeah. It's absolutely crazy. I want to go through a few comments. First of all, please keep smashing the likes, people. There are 328 of you in here, only 80 likes. Let's not play this game. For anyone that doesn't know, and Daps told me to do this yesterday, which was probably true. The likes are good because what they do is it tells YouTube that people are liking your show. They then pump that out to more people who come and watch the show and subscribe, and it helps YouTubers grow. Please smash the subscribe button. I'm sure all 334 of you now haven't subscribed. If you haven't, please be so kind to do so. We've had not one subscriber today. Tight, very, very tight. Subscribe to the Shelfside Spur. Subscribe to Ben as well. Ben will put the links in as we go. So please do that. Just a few questions. No, definitely, Phil. I was not going to say I don't need autographs. I give them out. No, it's not. No. Just a few comments that people are making. Paul Connor, big up, is a channel member. Big up to Paul, always a big supporter of the channel. I said, do you think with Dier and Ndombele being put out on social media with training videos and documentaries, do you think the club is pushing a rebirth for both players? Guys?
I want to say... Look, Anders said about Ndombele, but I just think there's nothing more that I think that some people would love. That Ndombele, there's a player there, right? And there's nothing more that anyone would like. That he'd come in and he'd absolutely be a baller, but I just can't see it, right? So there's that thing, and I think from an Eric Dier point of view, I just think that there's a few worse players that we need to get rid of than him, and I think there's just let's try and get him on board for a year. I mean, look, if they announce in the next week or so he signed a new 3-year contract, that will just be disastrous. But I just think it's lip service more for Dier and for Ndombele. The jury's out because obviously Ange is not, Ange would have seen what he's seen, but maybe he's thinking like some of us are thinking. There's a player there. Can I get out of him? But who?
I'm not thinking it.
Don't know,
I'm not thinking it.
No. That's why I said some, not all.
Yeah, I'm not thinking it. Here she is. Here she is. The devil.
Here she is.
She is. I just find it interesting. I mean, listen, in this day and age, that's what it is. Normally, if a player is not going to be involved heavily, you start to see less about them. Other clubs take them off of billboards and stuff. Spurs, it feels like we're going, right, what can we do? We need a centre-half and a DM. I know. And Ndombele's coming back. Eric Dier's talking good things again about how he's going to show us push. And the problem is people lap it up. Keith Shields. Actually, I'm going to come to that. By the way, anyone that's putting in anything about a potential takeover, and we'll talk about in a bit. The same with the Conor Gallagher rumours replacing Højbjerg. We will get to that. I just want to keep a running order of the show. Otherwise, we go all over the place. Strasbourg Steve, big up, my man. Hope you're well. This guy has more football shirts than anyone I've ever seen and watches more games than anyone I've ever seen. Yesterday, he was doing a watch-along for, I believe, one of the teams was Moldovan. I don't know. The other one was
First
where they were from.
Champions League.
First round of Champions League. Steve, you are one of a kind, mate, and love you to bits. Big up to Strasbourg, Steve. Charlotte, sorry. Do you know my wife's called Charlotte? I really shouldn't. Sorry. Charlton, I don't think you're my wife in disguise, but if you are, hello. And I will do some washing. Charlton has said, what was your opinion on the first 5 years when he was a number 6? I'm guessing we're talking about Eric Dier here. Guys, Eric Dier, when he was a DM for both England and for Spurs versus Eric Dier as a centre-back.
It's a fraud. Because he was next to one of the best midfielders I've ever seen ever, who made it easy for him, which was Moussa Dembele.
Right.
So, total fraud.
Could Devil's Advocate, my feelings on Dier, it should be very clear by now. Could Basuma not afford Dier that luxury?
No.
Okay, there we go. Ben should give media training to the Spurs players. Yeah. If someone asks you a question you don't like, just say no. Is Harry Kane leaving? No. Is he staying? No. Barry, Dier, number 6. I mean, again, Devil's Advocate. I believe personally that's where we saw the best of him, but it was a very long time ago. Is it worth another experiment?
Well, that's what I mean. I think you're right. It probably was where we saw. I mean, obviously on his debut, he went running forward and scored that goal against West Ham at Upton Park, right?
He was right back.
Yeah.
He was right back.
Right back, wasn't he?
Oh, was he right back then?
Right
okay.
Back.
Yeah.
So I think, look, where else can we try him? Right back, centre back, in the 6. Put him as the 8.
Someone else's football club.
I think
someone else's football club.
Let's play this game. Let's play a game quickly. You've got to say one thing and we'll go round until you run out of ideas. Where can we put Eric Dier? Ben, go.
Bin.
Behind serving the beers at the stadium.
The transfer list.
Toilet.
Car park stewarding.
Basically anywhere, right? We don't want him in the 11.
Not on the football pitch, yeah.
We don't want him there. Do you know what? This is one of them moments where I'm very normally with some players I'm very clear cut, as you guys know, about who I like and who I don't. Other times I'm a bit more like, I get it, I get what they're doing. This is one of those moments where if in the next season Eric Dier plays 38 league games in the number 6 and is revolutionised, people will clip this and I'll have to come on and do a Rory Jennings style. Sorry, Erling Haaland. I was completely wrong. Sorry that you got 60 odd goals. Guys, let's move on from Eric Dier unless any more questions come in about him. People, please put in your questions. Listen, we do get a lot of questions, so to be sure for them to be read out, put them as a super chat. If not, I'll try and get to as many as possible. Guys, please smash that like and subscribe button. It's got really, really tight lately. YouTube was putting out a lot of content for people and not one subscriber throughout the whole show. Terrible times. Guys, let's talk about the other thing, which before we get onto players, I want to talk about the Conor Gallagher rumours. But before we do, let's talk about the F1. So that was the other thing that was announced yesterday. And in short, this is what it said. Yesterday, it turned around and said, it said, come on, you Spurs news. This was Corey's news. It said Formula One and Tottenham today announced the name of their new karting experience, F1 Drive London. The kart track will open its doors later in the year. Again, isn't this just more money making for them? But for me, not money making enough that could be the difference between signing top players or not. Like the raising of the ticket prices. It makes them a couple of million, but in football, a couple of million isn't the difference between a top player and a bad player. So what do we make of this F1 situation? Do we care?
No, I mean, it's what is gonna be the like ideal scenario, I think, for the club is that you're going to have a weekend. It's going to be a bank that, you know, when like in the summer when you get your festivals, right? It's going to be like a festival at Levyland, right? So it'll be we'll have an F1 Drive London show. Then you can go up from there. You can go and watch Beyonce in concert. Then from there, the next day we're going to turn it round, and you can go and watch the men's team play. Then on the bank holiday and then the women's team double header afterwards. Then on the bank holiday Monday, we'll have an NFL game.
Yeah,
and you get the whole experience for £50,000 a ticket. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Hotel room included.
I think we could get to that stage where you get like triple headers. You know, you get a football game, a concert, and an NFL match, all for the price of $1,450 with a free beer chucked in for each event. You know, and you know what? They'd sell out. They'd sell out, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
And this is the problem. This is the problem. Listen, I don't want to labour the point about the F1. I think it's been done to death. But again, you know, we've had F1, we've had Skywalk, we've had NFL, we've had concerts, we've had boxing, we've now got Spurs play. Basically, everything that is not football is really, really pushed. Just sad. Yeah, just sad. Guys, let's move on. So this morning, a report came out from, let me get this right so that people don't think I'm making this up. This morning, a report came out from Mike McGrath of the Telegraph. That's pretty good, isn't it? That's nice. I think that's why they hired him, just because it goes. Mike McGrath has said this: Tottenham have Conor Gallagher in their sights. Spurs are looking at midfield options as Pierre-Emile Højbjerg has been targeted by Atletico Madrid and clubs in Germany, with Gallagher emerging as a contender to compete for a place under Postecoglou. Now, it goes on to say this as well, which is a bit contradictory, but hey, it is what it is. Let's see if I can find it. So it was in one of my Spurs groups when I woke up this morning. No, can't find it for love nor money. Basically, it went on to say that Pochettino is a fan of Gallagher. Should he stay? Pretty sure it'd be his choice, right? But guys, Conor Gallagher, this is not the first time this guy has been mentioned with Tottenham Hotspur this summer. First of all, would it be a player we would like? Second of all, surely it's a player that would suit Poch's pressing. Third of all, they're talking about 50 million. Fourth of all, can you see Chelsea doing business with Tottenham Hotspur? Lots to discuss on this player. Where are we at?
Do we need another number 8?
I don't know, mate. I don't know.
I like Conor Gallagher's play. He's like Ollie Skip, but better and with more energy. That's the only way I can say Conor Gallagher. I like the player. He's not what we need at all. At all. We need a sitting number 6, like an Amrabat or a Kessié or someone, a player, a destroyer, someone that's going to shield our terrible defence. buying Conor Gallagher just says English quota, young, good resale value because he's young.
Right.
He won't fit in the team. I know it's like we've already got 2 number 8s, Bentancur and Basuma. I know Bentancur won't be back until the end of the year. We've got plenty of players in that position. We need number 6. We need centre backs. If we spend 50 million quid on Conor Gallagher instead of Edmund Tapsoba, I'm getting my pitchfork out.
I think, look, I think Chelsea normally sell to Arsenal or the other way around, right? So I don't think it's not normally
We don't do this with Chelsea and Man United, though. That's historic.
Do you think? No, look. People will use it and say, "Well, Poch is there now. He might want to help out Spurs." Do you know what I mean? I'm waiting for that one. I know that there was issues in the past. Abramovich isn't there. The Poch is there. He wants to help us. Look, good player for me, but 50 million. We've like kind of Ben touched on, that 50 million goes towards Van der Ven and Tapsoba, which is what we're crying out for, not a Conor Gallagher that's going to compete to start. Look, he did great at Palace. Not so great, but then that was Chelsea weren't that great last season anyway. So look, I just think it's thanks, quota, thanks for that. But let's just move on. I think it's just another way to try and create a little bit of noise. And like you say, I think he probably fits Poch's sort of style and system better than probably any the ones that they've got rid of. So
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, too right, Kuva. I think the strange thing for me, right, is back in the day, it used to be. Look, I've got nothing against Conor Gallagher. Listen, do I think he is pretty much what we need? No. Do I think he's the worst player in the world? No. Do I think he's the best player in the world? No. I do love his engine. I do like that he gets around and presses. I like that. I saw some data the other day that showed that showed he's the best player in the Premier League in terms of breaking through from midfield to go and join in with attack. I don't know how they measure that, but I've got nothing wrong with that. But back in the day, this would be a 20 million, 25 million pound signing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you'd say, all right, yeah, 20, 25 million, you take it, right? When they start talking about 50 million pound for players that haven't really achieved a lot yet, it just kind of takes all the shine and the dust off of everything, because you'd bring him in at 50 million and then everyone will expect wonders from him because he's 50 million rather than bringing in a squad player, right? And that for me is where football has got to now. I don't think he's this terrible player. I thought he was really, really good at Crystal Palace. I felt sorry for him last year, if I'm honest. Playing at Chelsea, who played a different formation each week, a different 11 every week, a different manager every week. I think he'll be a good player. He gets into the England team for a reason, but 50 million, is it what we need? Like you said, Ben, it's not. If we buy another centre mid, surely it's going to be a 6, right?
Yeah, we need a proper defensive midfielder. And a guy in the chat said that Andrew will probably not play a defensive midfielder, but we need a defensive midfielder who can play, especially if Højbjerg's going. Well, not that Højbjerg can play at all, so a bit of Wood can probably play football better than him. But Gallagher's not that player, especially at 50 million. He's not that player at all. Again, get Tapsoba in for that 50 million quid. Use your money properly.
Yeah, it's bad. Let's go. Let's get. I want to get through some super chats and some questions as well. First of all, Jib, learn your lesson from last night, mate. Learn your lesson. Talk football, sure. Have your bad opinion, sure. But when you start attacking me, listen, you're just going to be timed out. So just be nice.
When I'm here.
Exactly. Notice how there's nearly 400 people in the chat and everyone's just keeping it nice. And then there's you, Jib, the cut of your jib. Ash, everyone's relaxed. Everyone's just having a chat. Don't worry. I love this when people say relax. We're just reporting what's been said. No one's angry. We're just reporting what's been said. Strasbourg Steve has come in with another super chat. Thank you, Strasbourg Steve, and said it was an Armenian team, Urartu, versus a Bosnian team, Zrinski Mostar. I think I've said that right. Who knows? Yeah. Today I'm doing a watch along of Dynamo Tbilisi versus Astana. Steve, you are my hero. when people say, "Oh, I bet you've never even watched that bloke in the German league." Steve's watching blokes in the Armenian league. Go on, Steve, you legend. And Mr. Pox Office has said, the professor of itching and waffles. Big up, bruv. Big up to you, Mr. Pox Office. Thank you very much. Some good questions here that have come in. I'll try and get through a few. Robert Bullmore said, for centre mid, would you take Gabriel Vega? I don't know if you guys know too much about him. He seems much sought after. I watched him 3 or 4 times in the, that's probably a lie, maybe 2 or 3 times definitely in the under-21 Euros. Spanish midfielder, technically very good. My understanding is that big clubs want this guy. As soon as I hear that, I don't know about you guys, I just automatically go, yeah, all right.
Yeah, I read that earlier actually. It said, I was trying to think who were the bigger clubs, but you're right, there are bigger clubs coming. Arsenal have joined Tottenham and Chelsea in wanting him. So there you go. So that
it's not coming to Tottenham, is he?
Yeah, I saw that Barcelona wanted him, and I think Real Madrid would taking a nibble as well. Look, he looks a very good player. Like anything, Robert, once these players are put out into the ether as the next big thing, they're not Tottenham, are they? But very good player. Free for all, love it. Have Woolwich dropped a documentary on Rob Holding yet? Do you know what? Many a true word said in jest. Sean Newlands has said, big up boys, love the streams, even as a rival Chelsea fan. Do you think Son in particular and have a big bounce back under Ange? Or if he doesn't, will you move him after this upcoming season? Let me start with you, Ben. The Son conversation, was it a one-off? Was he as bad as people think? Will he come back? If he doesn't, are we seeing the decline? Then he needs to go.
We've had this history of playing players that are not fit. Kieran Trippier as one springs to mind. He had a terrible season his last season at Tottenham because he was playing every game injured. And you can get that because you can read Kieran Trippier's autobiography. Sonny should not have played the games he played last year with a hernia. He should never have played. But because Tottenham won't sign players to replace players, we're having Son play injured, which could have wrecked his career. Luckily, it hasn't. Now that Son has had a bit of time back at home in South Korea to get fit, maybe I think he'll have a good season. And under a coach that's going to play him to his strengths of being quite close to Kane as a striker rather than as a winger that's tracking back. Because why have you got your second best striker tracking back? It makes no sense to me. As much as I appreciate.
Yeah, more breaking news. We are playing Singapore Premier League side Lion City Sailors following the withdrawal of AS Roma from the fixture.
Superb. I mean, there's a reason why we don't need new centre halves. Then, if we're playing them, we can just stick Sanchez and Dier at the back and have done with it.
No, because we're going to leave Dier in Australia. We'll just go and dump him in the outback and see if he can find his way home.
It's crazy, isn't it? By the way, people in the chat, can I just say, please, just relax. When we bring these subjects up, right? Somebody's announced today, reporters announced Spurs are after Gallagher. I'm bringing it up and asking a question. It doesn't have to be so vitriolic, right? It doesn't have to be, oh, you want Gallagher. Just relax, just reporting on some news. But I mean,
yes. We've got
who we got?
Oh, drum roll.
Who we got?
Graham.
Drum roll.
Whoever it is walks very slowly.
Drum roll.
Oh, come on.
It's Haz from A View from the
Sun. Big up, Haz. How you doing, man? You all right?
How's it going, guys? You all right?
How you doing, mate? You good?
Yeah, I thought I'd make a special appearance.
Oh, and there he is. Do you know what? Spurs, this is what we do. We don't buy centre-backs, but we do bring Haz as a special guest onto shows. Haz, I'll ask you, the question was just asked about Sonny, about, obviously not having a great season last year, but what happens this year if he doesn't have another great year? Does he get moved on, or do you think Ange is going to get the best out of him?
Well, look, let's put it this way. He's played under a couple of managers previously where the football's been quite turgid. He's now going to get the chance to play under Ange, who hopefully will give him some sort of freedom to express himself again, because his football decline, it wasn't a coincidence. It was under Conte that, you know, he had a really bad season last season. And I just think he needs to be given a chance under Ange. And we could see his football come back. You know, that same Sonny playing in a more attacking, fluid system could work, especially with Maddison in there being the creative spark now. We never had that before. So I think he has to be given a chance, if I'm being honest with you. And we need to
I don't think there's any doubt, Barry. He's going to play, right? I don't think there's any doubt that Kane's son. I think Kane's son and Maddison will all definitely start. I then think it's going to be the rest of them are going to fight for minutes. I think in terms of Porro as an attacking player, Brian Hill if he stays at the club, Solomon. I think a lot of those players are going to have to fight for minutes. But surely Sonny will come back to scoring form and be used more as an outlet up front rather than a kind of overlapping left-sided player that's vying for the same position as Perisic. Yeah,
look, absolutely. And I think, look, we've seen there has been normally when I think I said this last night, we saw him at the end of the previous season from sort of mid-January onwards, scoring 2-3 goals a game, absolutely flying, to then falling off the cliff. And then with the injury and then with the manager and then with the system. And, you know, it's that hasn't helped. And I think we are going to see a different Sonny. We say we can't be as bad as last season, but Christ, that would be even worse, right? But I just think I think, look, going forward, we're going to be flying. I think we're going to go back to the days where we see those, you know, the 4-3s and the 5-2s and the 6-4s and those crazy games where almost
the Ardiles era.
Huh?
Feels the Ardiles era.
But almost like at the start until we get, because you've got to think, until we get into that system, we need to go back to our attack is immense. We're just going to score more than you. We don't care if we concede 4 because we're going to score 5 or 6.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think Sonny made a big thing. He's, you know, obviously he came out, he said he was injured. Whoever's decision that was, you know, medical team, Daniel Levy, the board, manager, whoever's decision was the wrong choice. But when he came out and said, when the rumors were coming out around going to Saudi, and he basically crushed them straight away, to me that shows that he wants to come out and show everyone and get that kind of smile back. We want to see, look, how many times last season did we see Sonny on the pitch and his facial expression, he just looked upset.
He didn't look sunny, did he?
He didn't look sunny.
No,
even when he scored the hat trick, he was happy, but he wasn't happy. And I think we're going to see that happy Sonny back.
Yeah. And I also think Andrew's sort of manager that might even put his arm around him and say, look, I'm going to be patient with you. I've seen what you can do. I want to utilise you in my system and the way I want to play. I think Andrew will be a good fit for Son as well, and the other way around.
I'd make him captain. I've said this many a time. I'd make him captain.
Oh, I wouldn't. No, come on, guys.
We can have this but our supposed captain, when there's all these rumours, has said absolutely Sturman is gone on Hot Ones. Big up Hot Ones, by the way.
Yeah, but hang on. Our supposed captain, right? Let's be really, really honest. And just quickly, Ash 7. I'm going to say something that might make sense to anyone else. Is it you? That makes no sense to anyone else. Is it you I've been speaking to? Let me know, Ash.
No, it's not Ashmatic.
It's not. I know it's not bloody Ashmatic.
No, you know
Jesus Christ. I know it's not asthmatic. By the way, just before we get into that captain thing, there's 415 of you in here, and only one person has subscribed throughout the whole 52 minutes. That is tight. I bet you all pay to go and watch Spurs, though, don't you? Listen, subscribe to Saf Ukois for Haz. Subscribe to Ben on Tottenham on Tour and also the Coffee Company, and subscribe to Shelfside Spur. It's becoming a chore trying to remember every single channel out there now in the YouTube world. And smash that like button. As I said, there's 415 of you, only 164 likes. Let's at least get that to 200 as quickly as possible. And I tell you what I'll do. We're at 7,117 subs. If we get to 7,150, I'll give away a Spurs shirt. I can't be fairer than that. 7,150. That's only that. I can't believe I won it the other day. That was amazing. 33 subs for a free Spurs shirt. Listen, Ben, I get what you're saying, right? But I feel like when people say Kane hasn't said anything yet, I feel that's more from an emotional point of view. Because if you're Harry Kane, you've got your people, right? You've got people in your background, and they'll be telling you, "Hang on, mate." He might have said, "Look, let me say something. Let me come out and say something to the fans," and they'll say, "Hang on, whatever you say, they're going to want more, and whatever you say is going to be misconstrued." So, for example, if Harry Kane came out and went, a statement from Harry Kane, "I'm on holiday at the moment. I will be going back to Spurs to have talks about my future." That sentence won't satisfy people. It doesn't satisfy anyone because everyone goes, "Oh, talks. That means he must want to go. He's not staying. He's not happy. He's not said he's staying." If he comes out and says, "I am 100% staying," and then a monster bid comes in from Bayern Munich or Real Madrid and he leaves, "Oh my God, Harry Kane, he lied to us." I don't think he can win, Ben. I don't think he can win with whatever he says. Discuss.
I think he's just got to be honest. He's got to show. I'd be happy if he came out and said, "It's time for me to have a new challenge." Yada yada yada. I've given my entire life at Tottenham, but it's time for me to change. I don't see the club showing ambition. I think that's perfectly reasonable. And if he wants to sign the contract, sign the dotted line, and then believe what everyone says on him being not ambitious at all. So it's just got to be honest. It's just got to be honest. What's it called? It's that Men in Black 3 quote. The bitterest truth is better than the sweetest of lies.
Yeah. By the way, if anyone does listen, again, we're 32 away from it. But if you type in what I am typing in, if you type in hashtag sub to Savva, notice there are 2 V's in my surname. If you type in sub to Savva with 1 V, you won't be entered. Type in hashtag sub to Savva. It will automatically put you in the draw to win a shirt. But we do need the 32 more subscribers before we get there. So hashtag sub to Savva. And we're going for another 45 minutes, if that. So we're going to have to do it quickly. And if we don't get the subs, then we'll do it another day. Has Kane, should he say anything? Obviously, he's back today, but should he have said anything while on holiday?
No. As far as I'm concerned, he's on holiday at the moment. I'm sorry, Ben, but yeah. I just think you're on holiday. You need that well-deserved break, from football. But it'll be wrong for him to say something now in that period that he's away and not hearing what the hierarchy, the board have to say. Because like you said, something might happen. They might change their mind. They might say, "Look, Harry, we're going to cash in on you." Then you're stuck in the mud a bit. But I think the fact that he's come out and he said, look, he wants to talk is, for me, you've got to take that as a good sign. But you can take it how you want to take it. Yeah. But the fact is he wants to talk. He could have said, "I'm not going to talk about my future. I'm not going to discuss it." That would have been way worse. But the fact that he's come out and said, "I'm going to talk to the board," that, to me, says he's open to discussing something. So when it comes to the contract side of things, if we have offered him a contract or if we are going to offer him a contract, for me, Harry needs to make some sort of demands because he is, the face of the club. Let's be honest. He is Mr. Tottenham. He is the one that, we should be doing everything in our power to keep at the club. So any demand that he makes, I think we should be met by the club because you see at other clubs, I watched the podcast with Troy Deeney. He was like, anything I asked for, I got. And, Watford weren't exactly successful, but he was their talisman. But I think any contract that is offered to Kane, he needs to have a stipulation in there that says, look, I'll stay on, but if X, Y, Z is not met next season, I can be then sold on for this fee or I'm free to negotiate with another club. That's what needs to happen. And if they can't, then we need to get what we can for him this season.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's certainly, Barry, it's one that won't go away until we get an answer, right? I think that, I said months ago that I feel like this summer's transfer window is going to be dominated by Harry Kane. Even if he leaves or he doesn't, it's going to be dominated by Harry Kane talk. Buy players so that Harry Kane's happy is one theory. Or sell Harry Kane so we don't let him go on a free. Keep him and then get 40, 50 million for him in January. There's all these different scenarios. Can you see him doing the complete opposite, which is signing a new contract and committing the rest of his future to the club, but maybe inserting a release clause that is sensible? I don't know, maybe a 120, 125 million release clause, something like that. Can you see that happening?
Yeah, look, I think, I can see it happening. I think, look, he's been burnt before. We saw what happened when he came out and said he wanted to leave. He did the Gary Neville documentary and all of that nonsense, right? So I think I can understand why he doesn't want to come out and physically say, I'm not open, because I think that would be silly for him. If he's going to stay, and obviously the rumours are Hugo won't be on the plane for the pre-season tour, so he'll be off. Yeah. If he's made captain, then he has to sign a new contract, and there has to be a release clause in there of a certain ilk. I mean, I don't think it'll be as much. Maybe it'll be an 80 million, let's just say, but activated in 2 years' time. It's it won't be activated straight away. It'll be 80 million in 2 years' time. A bit like kind of what Haaland's got with his release clause. That activates next year. So we say, look, Harry, we're basically saying, we know we're shit. You've done us a great service. We want you to break, you want to break the Premier League goal scoring record. Go and do that with Spurs, and then we'll let you go. For an agreed amount. There's no gentleman's agreement. It's all there, black and white. We're going to pay you 420 grand a week. And we've got we're going to make you captain. You've got 2 weeks to decide ultimately, and then we can quash it and move on.
The problem you have, Bo, sorry, Savva.
No, go on.
If another Premier League club comes in during this window and says, look, Harry, you can negotiate a deal with us in January. Don't sign a contract. You can come and play for us next season. That's the issue that we've got. That's another scenario that we've got, and that's one that, Harry might want to take up. He might say, actually, it's not worth me signing another contract with a release clause, because anything can happen during that 2 year period. Yeah. I could get injured, and potentially that's me done. Or I can negotiate another contract with another club in January, move on a free, and break that record if that's what he's interested in. So there's a lot of variables. There is too many variables.
There are loads.
Ultimately, we need to find that sweet spot where it works for the club and Harry, where both parties are going to gain something from it. I'd like to imagine that Harry wouldn't do the dirty and sort of leave the club without us getting anything for him. Let's be honest. He wants what's in the best interest of the club at the end of the day.
But at the same time as saying, again, just playing devil's advocate, at the same time as saying that, then that's still down onto Daniel Levy, because if you get the bids this year, all right, they may not be the big 100 million marker that he wants. It's always going to be, isn't it, X amount of money versus him leaving on a free. And I think the really important component of all of this is, like you said, the January transfer window. Let's assume he stays and doesn't sign a new contract. In January, he can either sign for foreign clubs on a free, or everyone can bid for him, and it will be at the point where Daniel Levy's going to look and go, hang on, do I take 40, 50 million from him in January? Now, we were having this debate yesterday on Never a Foul, where would clubs come in and pay £50 million for a player that's got 4 or 5 months left on his contract? Now, the difference is a lot of those clubs that will be looking at Harry Kane will be in the Champions League. Harry Kane will not be cup tied in Europe. Yeah. So it could be that they're going into that Champions League or the Premier League running or the Real Madrid, and they go, hang on, we need a goal scorer to get us over the line in the Champions League or the league. Is 40, 50 million worth it to go and win the league or the Champions League?
Even if it's not take like that risk. League, though, so what if it's Man City? Let's say, hypothetically, it's December. Haaland gets a really bad leg break.
Right.
And they might not win the league next year. 50 million quid, Harry Kane. Yeah. Bang.
Done.
Fish bash off. Done. Win the league. They could do it.
Even United.
United could do it. If United had been taken over by that point, you can do it.
No, and that's, I agree. The word has used was brilliant. It's the variables. There are so many different scenarios here that could play. Like, the other scenario is that Man United in the next couple of weeks get taken over and their new owners go, let's make a statement. Let's make a statement. Let's whack down 125 million. At that point, I don't know about you guys. If Man United whack 125 million on the table this summer, you've got to accept it, haven't you?
Yeah, you can't refuse that.
You know, play Sonny through the middle. I don't know, but hey, it is what it is. Another player I want to talk.
Conversation, Savva. I've spoken with the former president of Juventus who sold Zinedine Zidane for 56, 58 million to Real Madrid. It's like you cannot not accept that money. And that was then when 58 million was astronomical. Yeah. Imagine 125 for a 30-year-old with no time left on his contract. You accept it. You've got to accept it.
Yeah. Paul, by the way, so in January, what can happen is he can officially sign a contract with the foreign clubs to sign for them at the end of the season. But in this world, the way it works with agents, from January, his phone's going to be blowing up, like not his agent's phone, his brother's phone is going to be going mad with, what's Harry's situation? Is he signing? Will he come here? Where does he want to go? We'll give him $500,000 a week. And I'll be honest, if I'm Harry Kane, I'm going to take all Spurs association away. If I'm Harry Kane, I am sitting tight and doing nothing. I'm not signing a new contract. I'm just going to say to the press, listen, we'll see what happens next year. That would be my line. We'll see what happens next year. Mm-hmm. I'm running down my contract. I'll see where I am in January and how well Tottenham have done. I'll see the ambition the board have shown this summer and in January. And then I'll go, you know what? Nothing's changed. I'm off. That's what I would do.
And he gets to work under Ange as well for that period of time to see how it goes. Because, right. And the one thing I liked about what Ange said, so going off topic a bit, but
no, go on.
He made it quite clear that he'd love to work with Harry Kane, but whether he's here or not, he's going to put his stamp on this team. And for me, I can't ask for much more than that. That for me was perfect. But, he wants to work with Harry. And if Harry wants to work with him during that period of time and then see what his options are at the end of it, it's I'm open to that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Ben, take your Spurs hat off. If you're Kane, that's the logical thing to do, right?
We see Wilfred Zaha being offered 600 grand a week or something stupid. If Wilfred Zaha, and I quite like Wilfred Zaha as a player, I quite like him. But if he's 600 grand a week, Harry Kane should be earning 1.2 million pounds a week. It's like there is levels. Zaha is not in the top 25 best players in the world, and he's earning stupid money. Imagine someone that's in the top 5, what he can earn. We're talking like Messi money. He's earning more than Griezmann. Wow. I would say run my contract down, take a free, and then get as much money as you physically want, and then set your family up for 5 generations.
Absolutely. I think this is the problem. Again, when I always say about it's the emotion of us as fans versus the reality of life, right? Is we all going, sign, we've sign enough 5 years. Harry Kane must be sitting there thinking, hang on, I'm actually in no rush. Like, I don't have to do anything. We're all saying he's got to make a decision for the good of himself, for the good of the club, for the good of, I don't think he needs to do anything.
His family, his children. It's all variables.
Yeah, absolutely. Another player I want to talk about is Ryan Sessegnon. Guys, this is going to be like Ndombele and Celso. This will be Ryan Sessegnon's 5th season at the football club. And let's be honest, in that 5 seasons, we've had nothing back. Yeah. We paid 25, 30 million, whatever it was at the time. The news came out yesterday that yet again, he's picked up another injury. Yeah. Where are we at with this guy? Surely his contract must be coming to an end now.
2025, June 2025. I believe he signed the contract extension not too long ago. And his contract runs out in June 2025. So he's got another 2 years left, just under 2 years. So look, for me, he's been a shambles from start to finish because we've not seen the best of him. We've seen glimpses. And we touched on this on our show last night on the View from the South Stand. I believe it was Iggy who touched on it. Yeah. That when he's playing, it's like he's got the brakes on. He wants to be able to get down the byline. He wants to be able to do the things that he was doing at Fulham, but he's just scared of, pulling his hamstring again or whatever it is, but he's been playing with the brakes on ever since he signed for us. And for me, I mean, this injury now, I was hoping, I was one of the ones who was hoping that we could sort of move him on this season. But with the injury now, and then having to come back from that injury, that's going to be delayed unless the club decide, you know what, we're going to terminate your contract, go and find a new club.
Yeah.
For another 2 seasons. 2 seasons. I mean,
I'd take it to an employment tribune. I'd say you're a fraud.
I just can't get it though. I mean, yesterday I put a post out on my YouTube saying, like, come on, surely now you rip up the guy's contract and, you know, surely if not actively try and sell him. He's, for me, a really poor footballer as well. And the fact that he's been here 5 years, it tells you that he's not progressed in any way, shape or form since he's been here. He's been very poor. I don't know what he is. I don't think he's a left back. I don't think he's anywhere near good enough to be a wing back. I don't think he's assertive enough.
He's a failed winger. It's like what Gary Neville and Jamie Carragher used to say about fullbacks. You're either a failed winger or a failed centre back if you're right. A fullback back in those days. But he's a failed winger, and he's not strong enough. He hasn't got the dexterity to play fullback because he's not concentrating enough. He's just not good enough. He can't cross really. He was great at Fulham back in the day, but that was 6 years ago. 6 years ago, I can barely remember what I did 2 minutes ago, let alone 6 years ago. And just it's time for him to go. It's time to go. Rip up the contract. Just go.
Yeah. What I don't get about it is, again, it's yet another player that, like I said, Lo Celso's given us nothing for 5 years. Ndombele, nothing. So I know this will be the 5th year. Ndombele, nothing for 5 years. Sessegnon, we're now at the stage where it's like another year where what happens is people come into comments and go, oh, bless him, injuries. We'll get the best out of him when he's fit. How many players are we going to keep doing this with for the last decade? How many players until we go, they are not good? They are not good footballers. They are not. I'm so frustrated with this football club all the time.
I mean, it'll be interesting to see how many games he's actually played for us in the time that he's been with Spurs.
I'll find out for you. 1 second.
Less than 50. Must be less than 50.
Because, I mean, and then work out how much we've paid and how much we've actually paid him to play per game.
Yeah.
Right.
You know.
Here you go. It's just absolutely shocking. So in 4 seasons at Tottenham Hotspur, he's managed 56 appearances in total.
Oh, so close.
Right? 56 appearances in total. In his first year, he managed 6 appearances. In his second, none. Then this is league, by the way. Then 15 league and 21-22, 17 in the league last year. I mean, it's just 56 appearances in 4 seasons. I'm guessing Harry Kane probably played nearly 56 games last year alone.
Yeah, he played 40-odd games last year himself. So, yeah.
It's embarrassing.
Højbjerg has played like 4 times the games. He's only been there like 3 years. It's madness.
I mean, look, why do Spurs fans do it though? Why as fans are we not learning? So, for example, yesterday, I don't know if it was the official. No, it wasn't the official Spurs account. One of the big Spurs accounts on Instagram put out a list of all 8 midfielders. Hang on, I've got it. Hang on, I'll show you. I've got it to show that I'm not lying. I don't like anyone ever think I'm lying. All right. So all 8 midfielders. Here it is. So it was an Instagram post by Spurs Global and Spurs Related, right? So there it is. And It was pick your midfield. And it's got Bentancur, Maddison, Basuma, Ndombele, Salah, Celso, Højbjerg, Skip. And then it says pick a midfield trio, right? And I started reading the first 20, 30 comments. The number of comments that had Ndombele back in the midfield. And Ben, we spoke about this the other day, so I'll start with you, Haz. But the number of fans that, again, it's like the last 4 years hasn't happened. And we've automatically just reverted to, he's like a new signing. He's like a new signing. Get him in. Why aren't we learning?
Look, I'm going to say it again. Look, there's no denying, and no one denies this. The guy's got talent for days. He's got skill. He's got all these attributes. It all comes down to attitude at the end of the day.
Cool.
For me, if he's going to stay on, if he's going to stay on under Ange, he needs to work his way back into the team. He needs to prove it.
Yeah.
He can't just start in a trio in a midfield, or just coming off the back of a Scudetto win, which, let's be honest, he didn't have a major part to play in that win, did he? He was just a part of the team. But for me,
and then Galini's a good goalkeeper.
yeah, exactly. But for me, he cannot start the season in that trio. If we are going to play a trio, he cannot start. For me, if he's going to be playing in Ange's team, he's got to be introduced second half, maybe 10, 15 minutes if we need someone to come on to make an impact. For me, he's got to prove it. He's got to prove that he wants to be at the club. He's got to prove that he wants to fight for his place and that he's going to play for the team.
Mm-hmm.
So far, in the last, 3 seasons, we've not seen any of that.
Yeah.
It's been loan after loan. It's been tantrum after tantrum. And I think the Morecambe situation was the last straw for a lot of people. There's no denying he's got talent. No denying he's got talent whatsoever. It's just harnessing that talent. And someone made a point yesterday that he wasn't your traditional sort of product from the academy going into the first team. He was a kid who was effectively playing street football, who was thrust into club football in Lyon, and that he needs to be treated differently. Look, it all depends. Does Ange want to be wasting time,
Right.
Concentrating on players to improve them? Or does he just want to get straight to it? Guys, this is my 11. This is my 25. You're the backup, this, that, and the other. Get straight into it. For me, it's a difficult one because you look at the situation, right? How many managers has Ndombele played under?
But you get this. In the last 4 years across all the clubs, he's played under about 8 managers.
And none.
Oh, at Tottenham, he's probably played under 4. This will be his 5th.
So he's played under Poch very briefly. He probably had his best season under Jose Mourinho. I think he did all right under Jose. And I say this because Jose probably got the most out of Ndombele whilst he was there. And then obviously he was loaned out after everything that happened. But look, if Ange wants him and he keeps him, we've got to accept it. But he cannot be a starter in that 11 for me. He's got to work his way up. And we've already lost a lot of money on him. 56 million, was it?
Yeah.
That's not a small outlay on a player of his caliber. I think it rose to 63, didn't it?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, that's a hell of a lot of money. A big investment.
Yeah, it's just strange. People keep smashing the like button. There will be no shirt giveaway today. I've not had 1 subscriber since I asked for that. Can you believe that? So, I know, shocking. 456 people, no subscribers. Yeah, look, I think the thing for me is, if this was a one-off, guys, I wouldn't mind it, right? If it was, this has just happened with Ndombele, but this is now the 5th year for Lo Celso. I know we're probably going to get rid of him. We did this with
Eric Dier.
Sorry, Sav. Can you just go up to a comment?
Yep.
Someone made a really great comment. Just stop right there. That's it. Stephen O'Connor at 11:15.
I was going to say, when you're saying just stop right there, I can't see what your point is. I'm like,
Stephen O'Connor, 11:15.
Yes.
That.
Yeah.
Spot on with that comment. The skill set attached to the wrong guy.
He's got all the talent in the world. He could have been a better Paul Pogba. Because I think quality-wise, the things he can do with a football, it long surpasses players like Paul Pogba and even with players like Gundogan. They've got the quality, but they just don't have any work ethic. If he was doing stuff like Paul Pogba did at Juventus back in the day, he'd be a monster. He'd be an utter monster. You can't get the ball off him. He's big, he's strong, he's imposing, he can shoot. He's got everything a midfielder needs, but he just doesn't have any attitude.
If I'm being honest with you, I'll jog him on and get Alex Scott in.
Yeah.
For me, the kid's hungry. He's got work ethic. He's going to be an absolute star, that kid. No doubt in my mind. If anything,
the problem is, I agree with you. I 100% agree with you. It's like like, for example, I take Matt O'Reilly from Celtic over him. But the problem is some fans can't disassociate themselves from the big name and the player that fits.
Yeah.
And this is the problem at Spurs. I don't care if they're the biggest name on the market. I want to know that they fit how we want to play. And this constant need to try and get Ndombele to be better than he is. This constant need to drain blood out of a stone in regards to Ndombele. Other clubs don't do this. Other clubs will cut their losses after 1 year, maybe two at the most. Yeah. Or they just banish them. Yeah. At Spurs, this is why I'm saying it. When our fans say things like, we've not won for 15 years. Yeah, but you're then still championing Ndombele, Ryan Sessegnon, Troy. Right. This is the point, Ben. We champion all these players that have done nothing for years and years and years. Then we say things like, can't believe we've not won anything. Well,
Tottenham fans either like two sorts of players, like world beaters like Bastoni, or terrible players like
exactly.
It's one of those at like the furthest point. We can't just have a guy in the middle that might not be the greatest player, but he'll do a job. He'll be there. Like, I'm trying to think. Like back in the day in the 90s, Simon Davis. We need a Simon Davis type player. We haven't got any of them. We've either got.
Do you know what? Yeah, like even a Steed Malbronk. These players weren't there. They weren't there, but they gave you. You knew you'd get a 7 out of 10 from them every game. You knew you'd get a shift. You know. Listen, I'm not saying you have a whole team of them, but now we've got too many the other way, where you've got, as we said, Sessegnon, Ndombele, Lo Celso. Even for me, when I look at Skip and I think, oh, okay, you're all right, but we keep championing these players that realistically, when you look at the clubs above us, they don't play these type of players. Let me use Skip for an example. I don't mind Skip. Skip seems like a real hard-working lad, right? But name me a club above us that Oliver Skip even gets on their bench.
I don't think he gets in the Brighton team. I don't think he gets in the Brighton team.
Of course he doesn't. Doesn't get anywhere near the Brighton team.
I don't think he gets in the Brentford team. I don't think he gets no.
And this is the problem. But our fans will be sentimental. He was Player of the Year 4 years ago, whatever, in the Championship. Right? Great. But has he kicked on since? Listen, that's a brilliant accolade. The same as Alex Scott last season. Young Player of the Year in the Championship. Cool. Now Alex Scott will kick on. Skip didn't kick on. Right? This is the thing for me. But we do it time and time again. We've done it with Skip. Sarr is another one we've seen about 3 times, and people will tell you he's a generational midfielder that should start every game.
Sorry, someone just said Skip is a young Iniesta. Come on.
Nah, they're having a laugh, man. I love
Geordie, but yeah, you winded us up, Barry.
It's absolutely, it's what we do. Yeah, I mean, listen, but Raf, I'm not saying that we don't keep Skip because he's homegrown, right? But if the club was run better, we wouldn't be in a position where we're just keeping players because they're homegrown, right?
I know I'm using a bad example, but Manchester City's homegrown players are Phil Foden, Jack Grealish, and John Stones, quality footballers. Our homegrown players are Harry Kane and then a bunch of dog shit.
Agreed. Pranay, yeah. I mean, you've said that Ndombele made 37 appearances last season. Problem was, it was just 15 there, 20 here. Yeah. It was, if you actually go and look at his games, how many minutes he played, how many Serie A games?
Team away, because how many teams away?
Let's just throw in Ndombele for good measure.
How many Serie A games did he start? If anyone could find that out for me in the chat, that'd be brilliant. How many Serie A games did Ndombele start for Napoli last season? I'd be really interested to know. And by the way, I'm not saying, again, look, I'm not saying Sarr can't be decent.
I like Sarr as a player. Sarr for me has the attributes ready for a midfielder, but he needs a loan. He's always.
I think he needs a loan.
He's always looking for the ball. He wants it. He wants to go forward. I think Sarr could be a very decent player, but you don't shove him in a Premier League team immediately.
I felt sorry for him last season because he had to be thrust into that situation where we didn't have any options, and
which was funny because he showed up. He
did
turned
show up, yeah, he
in
did,
Milan away. Him and Skip were the best 2 players on the pitch for us. It doesn't mean a lot because we were awful. But...
See, but I'm hearing this a lot as well. Listen, whilst I think the club's been run badly, the excuse for every player can't be they're unlucky with managers, right? In one breath, fans will tell you that Mourinho and Conte are 2 of the best winning managers of the last 2 decades. In the other breath, it's the reason why Ndombele, Skip, Lo Celso, none of these players are any good. I'm sorry. I'm more cutthroat, I know, than a lot of fans with this, but I'm sorry. Top players will be top players under whatever manager they play. They will stand up. They'll be counted. They will show their worth the way Harry Kane does year in, year out.
Yeah.
It will show his worth.
You look at the situation with Jadon Sancho at Manchester United. You know, he's got all the talent in the world. You watched him play for Borussia Dortmund. He was absolutely fantastic. You know, he was absolutely killing it. But he's come over now. He's got an attitude problem as well, in my opinion. And now United are looking to like,
get rid of him.
Sorry, don't want you here. They want to get rid. You know, there's undeniable talent there, but they can see that his attitude is not what it should be to play for Manchester United. And this is exactly what you were saying earlier on, Savva. We just don't cut our losses. You know, I know it's going to be at a loss, but how much did they pay for Jadon Sancho? Was it something like 50, 60 million?
I think it was a bit more, wasn't it? Yeah, I think it was a bit more. Yeah.
5 million. And he's just not cutting the mustard. So, you know, if you want to be a big club, you've got to act like a big club. You know, we can't.
Yeah. And I think this sums up Ndombele, 8 starts. 8 starts. I'd be interested to know, sorry if I'm asking everyone for chat. I'm sure everyone's got a website for it, but how many of those 8 starts did he complete 90 minutes? I'd be really interested to know.
Stat, 0.
Yeah. I'd be really interested to know if he finished 90 minutes in any game last season, unless it was a meaningless Italian Cup game. Look, sorry, Pedro said, so you guys saying you want to sell Skip? How are you going to compete in Euro competition when you need homegrown cup players?
In European competition.
Yeah. Okay. Jeep said Ndombele 30 appearances for Napoli, 1 goal in 709. I mean, if you are playing 792 minutes of football in a season, look, my worry with this as well with Ndombele is you talked about it just now, has the number of Spurs managers, right? But now if you look at the last 4 or 5 years, he's been on loan at no, he hasn't. He's been on loan at Napoli.
On loan at Lyon.
Right? On loan at Lyon. He's had like 4 different managers at Spurs. So between 6 or 7 managers, other than the Lyon manager, no one gives this game 90 minutes week in, week out. There must be a reason. It can't always be on the manager. There must be a reason.
Got to spread the blame about. Of course, managers might not have got the best out of him, but surely if he's a top player, he makes the manager get the best player out of him because he puts the effort in and then he warms the manager over. Like Jose Mourinho has been known for playing some of the beefiest midfielders like a Michael Essien or I can't remember off the top of my head.
John Obi Mikel.
Top like players big in that sort of Ndombele sort of stature of bulk. He can get the best out of him. I can't name all of Jose Mourinho's Inter Milan midfielders or Real Madrid midfielders, but he gets the best out of these sorts of players. Ndombele didn't give a shit. I mean, he had Mourinho running around Hadley Wood trying to get him fit, and he still didn't turn up.
Just quickly, I love it when people say this. I love it when people don't listen. So, Sarr and Skip aren't good enough at the moment, and we are unlikely to sign another midfielder, and you want PA each sold. So, we got 2 midfielders this season. You always say context, Savva. Ben, context.
No, you've got to use your catchphrase. Let's break this down.
Well, let's break it down because context is everything, Ben. I always say context because your sentence there is making it sound like I'm saying get rid of Sarr and Skip and PEH and not buy anyone else.
We said
right?
loan Sarr to get him some regular football. Skip can be a bench player, but nothing more than a bench player. And Højbjerg, he won't fit in our system.
But the thing is, first of all, I would never condone having 2 midfielders for the season. My point is this: Spurs should be at a point where if PEH goes, you then bring someone else in who's better, right? That's what you do. No, I mean, I can't understand that Do you know what? I'm embarrassed for myself that I have to respond to this. I find it absolutely pathetic. Listen, I'm not saying Sarr and Skip will both go. For me, I don't care if Sarr and Skip go. I've never once said both should go. For me, I think Sarr needs a loan. I think this guy at this age now, we need to start seeing him playing week in, week out. I don't think he's going to get that at Tottenham unless Postecoglou's got other ideas. Spurs have got Ibasuma, Bentancur, Maddison. Change PH with somebody. Yeah, that's 4 midfielders right there.
Yeah.
We're playing once a week. You've got young players like Divine coming through. Sarr or Skip will be there as well. So, Ben, if you're going to come at me, make it make sense, my friend.
It's very
somebody's
made actually the playing once a week, because that makes a huge difference on the quality that we can bring in. Because if we had European football this season, we'd need to bring a couple in at least. The situation at the moment is we're playing 1 game a week. We can sell one of those players in Højbjerg and get a quality replacement in who's going to play regularly week in, week out, 1 game a week.
Just quickly, why won't PH fit? Listen, no, I don't think he will personally, because I don't think he's got the legs to get about. I don't think
he's not technically good enough. He's
Yeah,
got heart, he's got passion, he's got soul, but that's not what you need to be technically sound. He just isn't.
Ben, I don't get I don't get your point then, Ben. Sorry, hang on. If I go, sorry. So Skip and Sarr aren't good enough at the moment, and we are unlikely to sign another midfielder, and you want PH sold. So we got 2 midfielders. Well, we won't have 2 midfielders because whether I like Sarr and Skip or not, they're still at the club. What? I just can't. I can't understand it. Listen, guys, we are going to go for another 5 minutes. I want to go through a few questions. First of all, Single Parent Theory, thank you so much. Always a big supporter of the channel. I said, big name via player that fits. Sounds like Ange. Absolutely. Ulfric, the number 1 Harry Kane fan, has said, Savva, Kane just arrived at Spurs training for pre-season. Video on main Spurs page. False. Spurs employee turns up for his job. I don't know. Guys, I don't know. Oh,
Man turns up at work.
Yeah. I don't think there's anything there, Ulfric. I mean, we'll see. Where are we? I think we've had this one already. We've had that one. Charlton King, sorry, again, has said, should we be concerned about January with Son, Basuma, Sarr, potentially Tapsoba, all going to be away for it's going the Asian Cup and the African Cup of Nations?
I think, look, it comes back down to that 1 game a week again. The fact is, we're going to be playing 1 game a week. We should be able to cope with those players out. Yeah. We've just brought in the likes of Solomon as well, who we've seen last season can do a job on the left wing. Yeah. We will have some reinforcements in midfield. It Basuma's to play in African Cup of Nations, as well as Sarr. And look, we're looking to bring in 2 defenders, hopefully. You'd think that we can cope with a few players being away on international duty with 1 game a week. So for me, it's not. I'm not really worried about that, to be honest.
Yeah, I agree with you. Where else have we got questions? Just quickly, Simon Davis. Talking about Simon Davis just now. If we got 2 centre-backs in and that was the end of our transfer business this window, would that be enough?
Good question.
No. Personally, no. Because I think we're still missing in certain areas. I still think we probably need another striker because I don't think Richarlison's good enough. And I think we need 4 centre-backs, really. We need 4 centre-backs because we need to ship out Dier, we need to ship out Sanchez, we need to ship out Davis. Not that Davis is one I would ship out now. I'm happy to keep Davis as a bench player because he's not totally a bad egg, but for me, he's not good enough. We need to just clear out all the dead wood. We need to get rid of all of it. But of course, you can't do that all in 1 window. It's never enough. There is never enough. And that's part of the issue with Tottenham. We get to a certain point of, we're done. You're never done. If you look at, again, bad example, Manchester City, they're never done. They're always improving here, there. This player has dropped off. We're going to get this guy in. Arsenal are doing it at the moment. This guy's not good enough. We're going to bring this guy in. Like, you have to constantly improve. You're never done. You're always improving. And
Absolutely.
you've got to realise that.
I think for me, look, 2 centre-backs is the bare minimum, the bare minimum what we need to bring in. Then I think it's 1 in, 1 out. Then you've got to look, Højbjerg goes, who you bringing in? Attacker goes, who you bringing in? I think that's how top clubs work. That's how they move, and that's what we've got to start doing.
Mane 17 million, someone asked, all day, every day of the week.
He's he's never coming to 17 million now, is
he? If that was the price, though, every day.
Rip your hand off.
Sorry, he's
who? Sorry,
Mane. General Zod, big up General Zod.
Oh, are we asking about? Are we doing the 70 million plus? Hang on, where are you seeing that?
Comment is 11:43 a.m. from General Zod, 1966.
Nope.
It's at 11:30.
Either way,
but yeah,
he's saying Sadio Mane for 17 million pounds. You're never getting Sadio Mane for 17 million pounds. No way, Jose.
I'll tell you what's worrying about that is that comment has come up on my. That comment has come up in my back in the studio the back end of my YouTube studio, hasn't come up on my StreamYard.
Man,
that's really weird. That's so weird. Look, guys and girls, I do want to. Okay, last couple of questions. Would people be happy with Gallagher if it was 10 million more than we sell Højbjerg for? For me, I don't really care. I don't care. 10 million pounds to a football club is nothing. If we sold Højbjerg for 20 and bought Gallagher for 30, I don't care about the finances around it.
I think Højbjerg fits in this team more than Gallagher does.
I don't think so at all. I don't think
so at
Gallagher
all, mate. As a player. I like him, but I don't think he fits what we need at the moment.
I just think from a team that presses relentlessly and that works hard relentlessly, I think he'd be much better than. I've never been Højbjerg's biggest fan. I think he's a real limited player, but hey, it is what it is. Listen, the next question I'll come to you has Philly 2109 has said, would you accept an unknown number 6 like Vicario, i.e. Vicario being an unknown keeper?
Well, we have to accept it because he's here now, and the fact is that Lloris is going. He's had offers, but yeah, look, a number of ex-players have been quoted as saying that he's going to be the next best thing. Look, we have to take it for what it is. We have to accept it. We're not going to bring in. For me, look, David De Gea's out of a contract now. We've waited a bit. Would we have taken David De Gea with Premiership experience? I don't know. But it would have been good to have him as well as a number 1 and 2 with Vicario. But yeah, I would accept it because it's the only option we have at the moment.
Call Strasbourg Steve and he'll get an unknown number 6. He'll probably reel off about 70 of them that are all better than our number 6.
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing is as well, when we use the term unknown, I feel like that's really, they're not unknown.
Yeah.
This is an Italian international goalkeeper, right? This isn't an unknown goalkeeper. It's unknown if you don't watch any other league and don't do any research, right? But for me, I think that with good scouting, you can go and get a number 6 that doesn't have to be well known to our fan base. Our fan base will cry about it because it's what we do, like we did with Vicario. But if it's who Ange Postecoglou wants, cool. But listen, guys, I am going to leave it there. Ben, thanks for coming on, guys. I really enjoyed that this morning. Thank you very much for your time.
Always.
Please go over and subscribe to Tottenham on Tour and to the Coffee Company. Subscribe to the Southview Coys, which is Haz, Ashmatic, and Marlon. I believe I'm on with you guys in a couple of weeks. I think Marlon sent me through some details. Please as you leave, please subscribe if you haven't already. Really bad for subscribers today. Only 4 throughout the entire hour and 30 minutes. And Perchy is going live in 20 minutes. So if you want to go and join Perchy for some more Tottenham chat, please go and do that. See you later. Take care. And as always, come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.